Hello and welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm Beth, a creator-based coach with CMH Coaching for Life. I'm here today to help you and those you love create a life you feel grounded and at home in. Think of a life where you feel peace, love for those around you, and in a flow with just enough challenge to keep you happy and creating something wonderful. Sounds like magic, but it's not. You can create that life every single day. You can have a life full of love, excitement, hope, and creation. Our mission at CMH Coaching is to flood the earth with light through compassion, mindfulness, and hope. And I'm going to ask a favor of you. If you like what you see and hear today, think of someone you know that would enjoy and benefit from this message. Our mission is to flood the world with compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Share this with them. But for now, this is time just for you. So settle into whatever you're doing and enjoy this time with the girls, where we create that one awesome, amazing, perfect life every one of us is seeking.
You gotta watch your thinking. Watch your thinking. Watch your thinking.
We are recording. Yes. So the
they-
kids had bunnies.
Yeah, so they got to hold these bunnies and they were darling. And there was one especially that was very interactive with the kids and just they fell in love with it. And so they wanted the bunny. They don't have a pet. And came home and did a bunch of research, wrote papers, the two oldest girls who are 11 and 13.
I can't believe they wrote papers. I mean, that was brilliant. Really brilliant. Yeah.
Yes. And the funny thing is, I just have to share my screen. I'm going to share a picture of their dad and mom as they were presenting.
Oh, wow. Mom was like, I don't want to take this home. Okay. I just don't want to take this home.
Right. So, and mom is listening. They're both listening differently. So as you were talking about listening, Tyler's way of listening, my son's way of listening is to ask questions. So he'll listen to part of it and then he'll ask a question. And so here they are doing their presentation. See, they've got their papers.
Yeah, but go back with
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Go back. Because I really want to talk about that picture.
Yes.
Okay, look, the raised eyebrows.
Yes.
Fully engaged, he's open with his arms.
Oh, I love that.
Like he's embracing the energy of what they're saying. Okay, I'm here, but then look at mom. She's on one side away from the girls. She's got the pillow over her middle. I'm protected. She's got a leg look at the ankle on her foot.
Yes.
Kind of pushed away.
Yes.
And then she's hand over her mouth. And she's like, yeah, I don't want to do this. Everything about her says, I don't want to do this.
It's so true.
Really different ways of listening, right?
Yes. Yes.
If I were to guess, the way mom's listening is she's inventorying what this is going to mean to the household and listening to see if this is something that she can agree to, and she's figuring it out. Mm-hmm. So her body's saying, yeah, not yet. But her mind is saying, well, maybe.
Yes, right? Because she's
what
not
totally
closed off.
Like Tyler is saying to you?
Tyler's inquisitive. Yeah.
Curious.
His whole thing is, okay, I understand what you're saying, but what
have you considered?
Yeah, have you considered? Help me understand this. He used that a lot. Help me understand this. Yeah.
I love that phrase. That's a great phrase for listening. Help me understand this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a great, that's fantastic. What a great way to illustrate. Exceptional listeners. It sounds like they're both exceptional listeners.
And very different, right? They listen very different. Yeah. Rachel didn't interrupt much. Tyler did interrupt with questions. So much that the 11-year-old said, just stop, dad and mom, and listen until we are done with the presentation. And then if you have a question, you may raise your hand.
Beautiful.
So she set the boundary.
We did a class this last weekend And the gal that I was presenting with said, at the beginning of her portion, I did the first half, she did the second half. And at the beginning of hers, she said, we've gotten kind of derailed in classes before this. So I think what I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, is go through all of the slides, and then we'll go through and take questions, which I thought was a really great way for people to be able to listen and be engaged.
Yes. It's
kind of like your granddaughter.
Right. And it's
listen and then ask.
Isn't it cool too? So if we're listening, guys, if we're listening to others around us, as I listen to this 11-year-old granddaughter put the boundaries, say, here are the boundaries. This is what we're asking from you. Mm-hmm. Please respect this. It did cause mom and dad to sit back and respect those boundaries, which was also really important, right? It wasn't that Elle and Gemma weren't listening to mom and dad's questions, but they needed that respect and that opportunity to share what they had learned. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm so glad you brought the picture. Boy, what a perfect illustration of listening, right? Exceptionally. So what gifts and traits do you see in an exceptional listener? What do you see? For me, I could see it in Tyler with his eyes. He made eye contact.
Yeah. For me, I love the questions. So I feel like Tyler, growing up in my home, learned that from me, was being able to ask the questions. So to me, that says you're wanting to learn more if you don't understand what I'm saying, instead of just assuming what I'm saying, right? To me, that's really important. And I think in my marriage, that's been really important, because it's not that my husband wants to hurt my feelings, or that I want to hurt his feelings or disrespect him in any way. Oftentimes it's because we're not hearing correctly what the other person is saying.
Yeah, we have some filter.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
Or something in the background. So for me, having somebody ask me questions without being attacking, right? It's more of I want to learn more. Please help me understand. Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you. What kind of questions? Please help me understand is beautiful.
I
love that. What other kind of questions do you have experience with?
I love, ever since I learned the Brene Brown, that has helped us immensely in our marriage. And it has been the story I'm making up in my mind.
I love that one, right? The story in my head is.
Yeah.
The story I'm making up in my mind.
Yes. Yeah. When you said this is what I heard. And this is the story that I'm making up in my mind. So that opens up without it being an attack or hurting anyone's feelings. It's all on me. And then they'll go, oh, no. Oh, whoa, no.
Oh, that's not what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you came up with that, but let's talk about this, right? Whoa.
Right. But it's completely inoffensive. It's non-threatening.
Right.
I love that too. That's one of my favorites. The first time I heard her say that, I ran quick and just wrote it down. I'm like, oh, I want to use that over and over.
Yeah. It was a game changer
in my head. Yeah. And help me understand. One of my favorites is how does that feel to you?
Oh, I like
when
that.
we're talking. Or mostly when I'm listening, because my husband will be telling me about something, or how do you feel about that? Or what are your feelings there? And it just, even if everything in me is screaming, that's not what I want to do. If I can say, well, tell me more about that, or how do you feel about that? Then I can be in conversation with my creator, right? In my mind and in my heart while I'm listening, to open things up so that I can really hear what his needs are and what he's thinking, or what the story is in his head. Because invariably we have different stories.
Oh, invariably, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that comes like we're reading Boundaries for the Soul in coach training
Yes.
now. And as I was listening to you, I was thinking about that we have to understand and listen to ourselves first, right? So otherwise it's too hard to listen to other people and keep it authentic for us, keep our boundaries the way they need to be so we don't get hurt
Right.
or
Well,
misunderstood.
because like you were saying last month, we talked about mindful self-compassion all month long.
Mhm.
And when we're compassionate with ourselves, it really helps our listening because we're much more open. We're taken care of by ourselves. And
Mhm.
that opens things up to boundaries for the soul very quickly for us to be able to see what our boundary is, or to be able to hear what part of us is willing to make a boundary or what part of us is willing to be open when we're actually visiting. I love
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're listening with our eyes while we talk. I can't even
Mhm.
tell you how many times I've seen my daughters take their toddler and say to the toddler, give me your hands. And they'll take the toddler's hands and they'll put them on their own cheeks. And they'll say, hold my cheeks. And then while the toddler is holding their cheeks, they will talk to the toddler. Instant eye contact, hearing with your
Wow.
eyes. Yeah.
Wow.
Hold my face. When my kids were growing up, I would say, look at my eyes. But I love that touching and having your toddler hold your cheeks. Don't you wish sometimes that you could have your husband just hold your cheeks?
Yes.
Just hold your cheeks.
Just on my cheeks.
Or your teenager, or I don't know about your boss. That would be weird. But
That would be so weird.
whoever you're talking to. But that eye contact is so important.
It is.
There's an energetic exchange when eyes meet.
Mm.
We've felt it when somebody's looking at us from across the room, even. You can tell when somebody's looking at you. And you can tell when somebody's looking at you in a malicious kind of way, even. The hair on the back of your neck will stand up and you'll turn and someone will be looking, right? There's an energetic exchange. But when you're listening actively and with compassion, it feels so good to listen with your eyes. There's an intimacy there. So
yeah, that connection.
What other things do you do? Yeah.
For listening, it's so much more than just your ears, right? It's with your heart, because when you get that connection via looking at somebody through their eyes and you're listening to what they're presenting, oftentimes I feel it in my heart. So it's like a full body experience, right?
Yep. When you really feel heard, don't your shoulders come down just a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
And your heart reaches out just a little bit. You can feel that whole energetic connection when you really feel safe and heard.
Yeah. It's an outward, right? It's just this outward motion instead of pulling in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And protecting.
You have to curl around your heart to protect it.
Uh-huh.
It takes some real courage to bring those shoulders back and let that heart shine forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
all right. So we talked about a little bit about heart sight, hearing with our ears, hearing with our eyes. Also, hearing with our eyes, we notice things. Like I noticed with Brandon's, I love the way his eyebrows were lifted, and you could really tell he was concentrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Facial expressions, a lot of facial expressions can tell us if someone's really listening or not. I mean, not so much if I'm looking at my phone and talking to you, can tell I'm not really hearing. But,
right. Yeah.
You can tell if somebody, what's it look like to you when somebody's really listening to you?
Well, I have an example of of what it's like when they're not. We have lots of examples, but when somebody's trying to fake it because they want to hear, but they're not hearing. And it's just an example with my mom who, she just did not want to get hearing aids. Nope, that's for old people. That's for old people. And for years, I knew that she needed hearing aids because you would say things and she'd nod and she'd be like, oh yeah, that's, yep, And I'm like,
and you just said your shoes untied, Mom.
Yeah, you seriously did not hear a word I just said, or you're ignoring me, right? So just funny story. Funny, but not funny. My brother calls me from Texas and he says he wanted to let me know that they were filing for divorce. He and his wife were filing for divorce. And so it was really serious and it was a hard time. And he had called Mom to let her know. And I mean, we loved his wife. They'd been married a long time, and it was just really hard for the whole family. So he calls Mom and tells her, and she's like, oh, well, that's so good, honey. I'm so glad you let me know. And that's wonderful. And he calls me and he's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I just told Mom, like, my whole world is falling apart. And this is what she says to me. And he's angry. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Hold the phone.
Yeah.
She so did not hear what you just said. But when you're in person, you could tell by her face, right? That she wasn't, because she's like, oh, and it's just kind of like this fakey thing on her face.
Rather than when somebody is doing their phone,
right. Yeah. And I mean, she was looking at you in your eyes and stuff. But it was just like this glazed, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of glazed over versus when you're engaged and you know that somebody is listening and hearing what you're saying.
Yeah.
There
really is an energetic exchange between the eyes. I mean, you feel the connection, right?
Yeah.
It's really impressive. I'm trying to think if there are other facial expressions that let people know that that let me know that people are really listening to me outside of their eyes.
I get the nod, when there's a nod.
Right.
Or when you say something and they're kind of like, ooh, you can tell when somebody's into what you're saying.
Yeah. And there's a certain mirroring that happens in active, engaged conversations.
Yes.
You'll find with people that they'll tend to sit the same. Yes. Or if one person folds their arms, a minute or two later, the other person will have their arms folded. Yes. That mirroring shows they're really involved with you.
Yes.
And you'll catch yourself, now that I've said it, you guys, you'll catch yourselves doing it when you're really actively engaged with people. But it's a good thing. Your body language tends to mirror the people you're with, that you're really engaged with.
It's a proven fact. In fact, we did this experiment in our clinics nationwide. It was something that I had learned from Tony Robbins, and to go in and actually try it with your family or with somebody that you're working with, and mirror like 5 actions that they are doing. So, if they're tilting their head, or, maybe they've got their hand up like this, then you just kind of casually do it. And, if they start wiggling their foot, then you start wiggling, cross your leg and wiggle the same foot. And just like 5 things just throughout maybe a 5 or 10 minute conversation or being near them. And then you change your action. You do something and they will mirror you. Yeah, you intentionally change that. And then because of that connection, that energetic connection, blew people's minds in the clinics. But
it makes us one. And what we're really seeking is unity.
Exactly.
We want to be one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if we're treating patients, that's what we want to be, right? If we're, which in clinics we are, but also if we're working with our children, with our husbands, with church members, with whomever, right?
At work of any kind. Yeah.
Don't we want that connection? Yeah.
We want the energetic exchange, and we want to feel one. We want to feel unified.
Mm-hmm.
We can. Okay. But then there's one more question and then we're going to go. But I just really want to just get your thoughts on this. What if you don't want to listen? I mean, I run into that
Just
all the
nod.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What if you'd rather, I'd way rather be doing something else. I don't want to listen.
Yeah.
What? Okay. So what
Mm.
works for when you, okay. So after you roll your eyes, you can roll your eyes in your head. You're not going to do that
Yeah.
with the person. Yeah. But what thought or what choice do you personally make if you just don't want to listen? And I mean, I can talk about it for a minute because the thought just came to me, but do you have a thought? You want me to talk first?
The only thought that comes to me is that I have to realize if I'm choosing not to listen, that I'm choosing not to connect with that person, and that there will be repercussions. Maybe
There will be
small.
repercussions.
Yeah, small or big, there will be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, listening is an act of respect.
Mm-hmm.
It's an act of validating that that person has merit and worth to be here right now in this place. And so even if I don't want to listen to them because they're saying something I would really just rather not hear, whether it's like a silly knock knock joke or something that really is offensive to me, it doesn't really matter. Just for me personally, to give them the respect of being a human being and validate is worth listening. And respect has always been really important to me. So it's easy for me to tap in and say, this is another human being who has great value. And so I can listen, even if I don't want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
I can put a boundary about how long I'm going to listen, and
That's
I can
good.
wrap things up.
Yeah.
I don't have to sit there and listen to the knock knock jokes for 10 minutes. I can listen for a minute or two, right? Or whatever the drama is with the neighbor or whatever,
Yeah.
I can put a boundary there. That helps me stay attentive longer because I'm not a particularly patient soul.
Right.
But I want to offer them the respect that they deserve. And because they're such a valuable person as a human being. And that really helps me.
I think that's important, especially when we're talking with our children and our grandchildren. I can remember so many times when I just, like, I'm busy, just go, go, I'll talk to you later, and they want to da, 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 da. And I just had enough. So, that would be a great discussion on how to create the boundaries and be able to be fully present. Because maybe it would, if I would have stopped for 2 minutes, given them my full presence, that may change that outcome. I wish I could tell y'all right now that it works because I did it, but I didn't do it. So why don't you tell us, try it, tell us.
Yes. Yes. Well, the other things that we did with our children is when they wanted to talk to us and we were busy, we taught them to hold our hands and squeeze. Oh. Stand there quietly, hold my hand and squeeze. And oh my gosh, I had some seriously active squeezers. They could really go at it to let me know I'm really here, Mom, but they could stand quietly until I was finished. And that helped me to give them the attention they needed face to face.
That's I love that idea. Oh my gosh, that would have been a game changer. Oh.
Yeah, it really helped. The other thing that it did is it gave me a few minutes, sometimes a few seconds to switch gears in my head and go from, maybe I was working on bills and I was adding up a whole bunch of numbers and I was in that flow, and to be able to shift and then be in my kids' place if they were holding my hand.
For me, having somebody like hold my hand and squeeze it, you guys will have to judge for yourselves. But for me, that would have been just kind of a pleasant reminder instead of my child coming up and being like, Mom, 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 Mom. For me, that was always just like, get away from me. I'm done. Just, right. But that quiet, hey, I need your attention. I really, really, really want to talk to you right now. I could, oh my gosh. Cool idea.
And you think about when your husband is in conversation with someone else, or the friend that you came to the party with is in conversation with somebody else, when you want to talk to them, what do? You walk up next to them and maybe put your hand on their shoulder, right? Or rub their back a little bit or whatever. It's a physical touch to get their attention. And it just gives a minute for them to switch gears, wrap up what they're doing, and then give you the attention that you need.
Wow.
So all gifts and traits of exceptional listeners. I will be very interested to see what you all appreciate and what you found as exceptional listeners yourself. Unusual, surprising, atypical. I love atypical. Or just your gifts. What's worked for you for listening? We really would love to hear it. Coming up this week, it's a little bit quieter week. There's no jump start. There is Coaching Clear tomorrow at 1:30 Central. And there is book club on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And there is coach training on Thursday. So it is still the regular 3 things, but we don't have any evening meetings this week. However, Monday we have a mastermind group meeting. Monday it's for the members of the mastermind, and we'll be meeting and catching up again. I'm really looking forward to doing that. I love mastermind.
I love mastermind too. And can I just say, I got an invite, and I won't say from who, but another person that does work similar to ours, and they are just now starting a mastermind, and they're literally charging $10,500, and the people are not getting what our girls are getting. Like, I was looking at it going, that's wow. Yeah. So anyway, just it made me feel really good about what we're offering, and what what our girls are getting,
what our girls are getting. And it's really changing lives. It is so cool to hear the testimonials, both for Mastermind and for Coaching Clear. And for the way coming, Mastermind's twice a month, but Coaching Clear is every week. And to hear that weekly check-in and that weekly reset and the way it's changing people's lives is just so satisfying. And it's cool because it's as different as each of us are, everybody's getting what they need.
Yeah.
It's kind of magical. Yeah.
It is.
I just love it. Just love it. You can find more if you want to know more about that. You can find more on the 50/50 Girl Club, or you can find more at CMH Coaching. Either one, if you want to know more about those. But they're my favorite. Coaching Clear and Mastermind. Just love them. They're so fun. And podcast. This is so fun.
Yeah, just go to cmhcoaching.com. It's all there. You're going to find the 50/50 Girl page. You're going to find the Coaching Clear stuff. Go to the website. You'll get it all.
It's just good.
Yes.
So until next week, when we will talk more about listening and more about superpowers. I'm looking forward to talking about superpowers next week. So y'all, take care.
See ya.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Choose to be happy, choose to be free, moment by moment. It's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think.
Hey, thanks for joining us today in A Creator-Based Life. I hope you felt that compassion, mindfulness, and hope you came seeking today. You can find more of it at cmhcoaching.com or on linktree/cmhcoaching. Of course, any social media outlet, we're there too. Because you felt the benefit and light in this message, please invite those you care deeply about to join us. Help us to create a ripple effect across the globe of compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Then we can create a creator-based life together. Have a great week, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
Moment by moment, it's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about.